There are reasons why so many legendary horror films are set in forests and jungles, including timeless classics like The Blair Witch Project. It's because they're terrifying, especially at night. Among the trees and shadows, you can find all sorts of strange curiosities waiting to emerge. These are the 20 creepiest objects found in the woods, and if you feel that same spark of intrigue and passion for unearthing amazing discoveries, be sure to subscribe to our channel. It's free and will take you on endless, fascinating adventures that will transform your perception of the world. Let's get started. Number 20. Dollhouse. Any kind of abandoned house has a particularly melancholic atmosphere, but one with toys left behind makes everything feel even sadder. Here's a house in Ontario, Canada, that's been abandoned for about a decade and a half. It seems that when the inhabitants left, they literally walked away and left masses of their personal belongings behind. There's no story about who they were or what might have happened to them, but it's hard not to wonder if some kind of tragedy or something happened that led to this place being abandoned. The urban explorer who found the house many years ago discovered a ton of retro toys, including Barbies, Cabbage Patch dolls, a Viewmaster, an Easy Bake Oven, and a bunch of other cool stuff. Apparently, there are a lot of creepy dolls scattered throughout this house, but upon returning to the site, he discovered to his dismay that many of them had been taken from the house and that the interior of the structure was falling apart so badly that it was causing serious damage to everything inside. So, what do you think happened here? What would make someone walk away from all of this? Leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Number 19. Petrified wood. As exciting as some of the things we'll see may be, this is, well, pretty wooden in comparison. This is just a huge chunk of petrified wood that some nerdy hikers found while wandering near Yellowstone, near Billings, Montana. Petrified wood is basically the word for fossilized wood, or wood that has turned into stone through mineralization over time, the same way other organic materials turn into fossils. The difference with petrified wood from other fossils, however, is that it becomes a three-dimensional fossil rather than a stone impression. This happens when wood is buried in water or volcanic ash, and the amount of oxygen is greatly reduced, preventing the usual decomposition of wood by bacteria and fungi. The plant's cell walls then act as a template for the mineralization process, and the stone essentially replaces the wood in the exact pattern and shape of the organic material. This particular piece of petrified wood excited these people so much that they decided to share their rock adventures all over the internet for us all to enjoy. Lucky for them. Number 18. Screaming Sasquatch. Oh, save us all from a hideous noise! Are we just the biggest group of scaredy cats ever? This is a video that some guy apparently took in Canada. He points his phone in the general direction of the snow-covered woods and then gets slightly startled by a noise he can hear coming from, well, somewhere over there. It's a loud, howling animal kind of noise, and I don't know, it could be a creature in pain. But it could also just as easily be a moose with an angry antler, who could say? Anyway, I think this is one for all the Columbo detectives out there to figure out. What do you think is making that sound in the vast forest? Is it a moose with a megaphone, or maybe a pair of yetis fighting? Leave me all your splendid ideas in the comments section below. Number 17. Fairy circles. Next, we have a type of phenomenon seen among certain types of trees. These are fairy circles, but unfortunately, they have nothing to do with fairies at all. Redwoods that grow near the coast have a particular preference for growing in a ring around a small circular clearing. It has been difficult for scientists to determine the exact reason behind this, but it appears to have something to do with the reproductive nature and resilience of the species. These trees reproduce in two distinct ways. The first is with seed-filled cones, and these seeds are released during the dry season, and then trees will grow wherever the seeds settle on the forest floor. The second method of reproduction is what seems to be the cause of the fairy ring. trees can sprout from their root systems, and these sprouts will grow alongside mature trees and be strengthened by the nutrients they put into the soil. Sometimes the original tree will fall or even be cut down, but the sprouted trees, by this point strong and tall, will have grown around them in a circle, or a fairy ring as they are called. Cute, isn't it? Number 16. The Papakura tribe's tree houses. Despite being fairly isolated and living in harmony with nature in their rainforest home, the Kauai have made headlines around the world in tabloids looking for sensational stories about wild places and strange rituals. The newspaper's dreams came true when they were able to highlight the Kai people's unusual culture, listing cannibalism and witchcraft among their favorite pastimes. But, as is always the case with tabloid headlines, you have to look a little deeper to truly understand the story. In a remote area of the Indonesian rainforest, the Karai build their remarkable homes between 8 and 15 meters above the ground, sometimes in trees or on tall stilts. The reason is said to be that evil spirits only stay in the ground, so building high will keep the family safe. It also offers great protection from animals and many insects, as well as invading humans. They are a religious people, and their beliefs include reincarnation, as well as respect for their ancestors and the belief that some of their people even have magical abilities and are able to influence things like luck and also detect black magic. This element of their culture is likely where accusations of cannibalism and witchcraft come in, and in the past there may have been violent ends to disagreements within the tribe. These days, however, most problems are resolved fairly well simply by giving each other gifts. I guess offering a bouquet of flowers to your neighbor is a lot less dramatic than eating it, but it probably makes a lot less mess too, although it's not as good for tabloid headlines. Number 15. Extinct mouse deer. In 2019, a camera trap captured a real ghost on film. Well, not a ghost, but until that moment it was not believed that this particular animal would ever be seen alive again. This is the extremely rare, though thought to be extinct, silver-backed chevrotain. It's a strange type of creature also known as a mouse deer, and it was filmed on a camera trap in the jungle of Vietnam. The researchers who set the traps were stunned to discover footage of the rabbit-sized creature that had been captured while foraging for food. Previously, there had been no confirmed sightings of these animals for over 30 years. They are preyed upon by leopards and wild dogs, as well as pythons and the usual suspects, people. The mouse deer had fallen victim to hunters' traps and had been driven to extinction, or at least to the brink of extinction. After this initial encounter, researchers deliberately set up cameras to document the ultra-rare species and over the course of 5 months recorded the animals in the area dozens of times. Local people also confirmed that they too had seen the mouse deer in the region, but unfortunately, although they managed to gather many images, there was no way to determine how many individual creatures they saw. Perhaps it was just 2 showing up to have their photos taken, or perhaps there are dozens of these once-lost creatures inhabiting the depths of the Vietnamese jungles. Efforts to protect the chevrotain have included a reduction in the use of traps and a crackdown on poaching for the wildlife trade. Number 14. White deer. The former Sena Army Depot in Sena County, New York, is home to the largest herd of white-tailed deer in the world. These animals are unusual, but in this small, contained area, there are actually more than 90 of them. They are not albino despite their appearance. Rather, they are leucistic, meaning they have no pigmentation in their fur, but do have normal brown eye pigmentation. The former Army Depot is now in the hands of a private landowner who has decided to turn the woods into a sort of nature reserve, with the main goal of preserving the white-tailed deer population by ensuring they have enough food to eat and increasing security to protect the unusual animals from poachers. The landowner has apparently brought in experts to plant the right types of vegetation for the deer, and the fencing has been greatly improved. An ecologist has been hired to ensure the land can thrive, just like the white-tailed deer. The land here is a refuge for many other species, including wild turkeys. Camera trap footage has captured plenty of action from a wide variety of animals. Number 13. Booby trap. Although they have a rather humorous name and are usually owned by inept cartoon characters, booby traps are nothing to laugh about. A booby trap is actually a dangerous device designed and configured to surprise, in its most benign form, or injure or kill a human or animal. The trap is triggered by the presence of a chosen prey, whether human or animal, and will usually contain bait to encourage that prey to get close enough to the trap for it to spring. Naturally, it's neither cool nor safe to set a booby trap in the woods for any reason, but apparently a Forest Service officer discovered several of these traps while patrolling in the Utah woods. The device he found was a tripwire designed to activate when the line was tripped. He would then have to hit the victim in the chest or head with a large, dangerous, spiny ball that was made from a bunch of what could only be described as the kinds of sharp stakes one might use to dispatch a vampire. Another trap he discovered was a tripline that resulted in the victim falling onto a bed of sharp spikes sticking out of the ground. This trap could have killed or seriously injured anyone who had inadvertently wandered into it. Number 12. Stucky, the mummified dog. This is really very sad and also very creepy. Giving such an unfortunate animal such a name is truly dark. A mummified dog was discovered inside the hollow of a tree trunk, and it turned out the pup had been trapped in that space for over 40 years, which is a long time in dog years. It appears the dog had chased a raccoon through the woods and into the hollow of the tree, but the canine managed to get trapped inside the trunk. As the dog tried to free itself, it only became more trapped. No one had heard the dog, as it no doubt barked for help, and the poor creature was trapped in the wood and sealed for 4 decades before being discovered again. The dry environment had caused the dog's body to mummify. It's truly horrifying and very, very sad. Number 11. Island of the Dolls. An incredibly creepy place with a super sad history. This island is in an unpronounceable location in Mexico, purchased by Don Julian Santana Barrera. This man apparently went insane, secluded himself on the island, and during his time there, made the sad discovery of the body of a young woman who had drowned in the lake. Shortly after, a doll floated to shore. This may or may not have been the event that drove him to the brink of insanity. Some say he was already insane before that happened. There are even reports that Don Julian imagined the whole thing and the obsession itself. Anyway, he apparently started collecting dolls and hanging them from all the trees around the island. Over time, the entire space transformed into a creepy and bizarre monument of broken, decaying, and damaged dolls. He never fixed or cleaned them. They were simply added to the collection as they were found. Although to many people, the place seems horrifying and frankly quite disturbing, Don Julian apparently believed the dolls were beautiful protectors and felt safe among them. As one might expect in a story like this, it didn't end well for the tragic figure of Don Julian. He would find himself drowned in the same area where he believed the girl had died. Number 10. Abandoned cars. Most people are familiar with the concept of misplacing something, or even losing it entirely. You know, your keys, your jacket, maybe even your wallet. But few of us could say we've completely lost something as big as a vehicle, and it takes a special kind of absent-minded person to park their car and forget where it is. Forever. But here we are, and it's a favorite spot for Instagrammers and Pinterest photographers. Abandoned cars in the woods. This guy found a bunch of abandoned cars in the woods. These things have been here for a long time, and some of them have trees growing through them because the forest is reclaiming them, but that will take a long time. How is it possible there are so many old cars abandoned in the woods? Well, the answer may be less creepy or sinister than it seems. According to many people, it was mainly farmers who had old vehicles that were breaking down, and they no longer needed, so they would just drag them into the woods with a tractor and leave them there to rust and rot. It seems logical. Nothing strange about that, and I'm sure it's also totally ecological. Number 9. Bigfoot Woohoo. Finally, a video to get really excited about. It's Bigfoot. This footage was supposedly captured by someone in Maine on Halloween, of all nights. That changes things just a tiny bit, don't you think? Isn't Halloween a day when people make a bit of a habit of dressing up as strange creatures and princesses and the like? Is this someone in an extra convincing Halloween costume? Oh, how disappointing. Nevertheless, it was interesting enough that the Animal Planet Finding Bigfoot crew showed up at this guy's house for a poker game, and so they got out all their Sasquatch hunting gear and headed into the woods to make a TV show whose sole purpose is stated in the title, Finding Bigfoot. Did they find him? Well, they found a fuzzy, distant, bulky shape, and you know what? That's enough for anyone. Number 8. Tree burning from the inside trees sometimes gets struck by lightning. That's just one of the occupational hazards of boreal life, and all that standing in thunderstorms that trees are bound to do. Usually, when a tree is struck by lightning, there are a few signs you might notice. There's often a crack or split that runs down the trunk of the tree. There may also be pieces of bark that look like they've been ripped off the tree, and there may be blackened or burned areas. But this video footage shows something unusual during the aftermath of a lightning strike. The clip shows a fire burning inside the tree. This is a really rare, contained fire that appears to have been caused by lightning the night before. Apparently, there were some photographs that people were saying looked really fake, so someone added some video footage to show how the fire was actually burning, because it would seem there's no arguing with the video evidence, and of course there's no way that can be faked, of course. Issue 7. Disturbing Missing Persons Posters. Is this actually something super scary found in the woods, or perhaps it's the set of a low-budget student horror film? Who could say? At first glance, this is, in fact, an area deep in the woods of Berkeley-Jackson County Park on Long Island, with dozens of missing person posters plastered on trees. Oh, and to top it all off, there's a nasty-looking blanket and a strange structure made of branches tied together in a distinctively creepy way. Hey now, if you were wandering alone and happened upon this scene, it would almost certainly give you a hell of a scare, so you can't blame this guy for quickly running outside and, well, freaking out completely. He seems sensible, but his claim that it was the scene of a bunch of criminal stuff and that the police were currently investigating seems a bit of a stretch. It's just as likely that someone else staged the whole scene to film it for a scouting video on good old YouTube. But what do you think? Tell me about it in the comments below. Number 6. Puma plays with Swing-A-Man set up a camera trap outside his property in Black Hawk, Colorado, hoping to capture bear cubs playing with a swing set. Instead, a large kitten stopped and took a look at the toy. The video captures a cougar as it sleeps on the ground next to the swing set, then wakes up and becomes curious. It begins by gently pushing the swing set with its paws, and then is startled when the swing starts to move. The big cat jumps up, and seeing no threat, begins playing with the swing set, watching it sway back and forth and playing with it as if it were a kitten. However, it isn't. It's still a big, scary cougar that would rip your throat out in an instant, and you shouldn't forget that, even if it does look kind of cute playing with the swing set. Number 5. Humpback Whale. A 10-ton humpback whale was found dead about 15 meters from the shore of a beach. So, you know, it's not as if it flew into the rainforest and then landed there dead. But anyway, according to scientists who know about these things, it's still a strange place for a whale to be, especially at that time of year. The plot thickens. The carcass of the enormous mammal was discovered in the undergrowth at the mouth of the Amazon River, but it's thought that it probably died at sea and was then gradually washed there by the tides. It's not exactly rocket science, but then again, pretty much anything that happens anywhere can end up on the internet as a news story now, can't it? So, as far as anyone can tell, this is a strange place for a whale, but a dead whale can probably make it to wherever the waters take it, and that's it. Mystery solved. Number 4. The Mystery of the Crooked Forest. There's a grove of oddly shaped pine trees in this forest near the town of Gryfino in Pomerania, Poland. They're all bent toward their bases in a bizarre contortion, but it's just this one group of trees in this specific part of the forest. So what could cause something like this? Well, oddly enough, there's no certain answer, but naturally there are plenty of theories. One idea suggests that the trees were all buried under a lot of heavy snow when they were still small. It seems like a relatively sensible idea. It definitely gets cold in this part of the world, and snow can cause serious damage. But that theory just isn't enough for some. Another, decidedly more outlandish explanation is that the area has an extra strong gravitational pull. It seems a bit silly, unless everything else in the area was warped, and people walking past it felt their legs become extra heavy or something. The final suggestion is that when the foresters planted the trees in the 1920s, they shaped them that way on purpose. Those rascals. Number 3. Giant flower. The plant that produces the largest single flower on the entire planet Earth is called the giant corpse flower, but it also goes by a nasty pseudonym, the corpse flower. It turns out this is because this particular flower is extremely smelly. Well, worse than smelly. It actually smells like a rotting corpse. How charming! Although disgusting, this is actually a clever adaptation shared by several flowers of its kind. The stench attracts many flies, and these insects help pollinate the flowers and ensure they can reproduce. It's disgusting, but also extremely effective. So much so that these flowers are the largest in the world, measuring up to 1 meter in diameter and weighing up to 10.8 kilograms. Although these flowers are strangely popular due to their size, no doubt, rather than their fragrance, it seems the corpse flower is in trouble. There are 42 known species of the plant, and almost all of them are at risk of becoming extinct. This is largely a result of habitat loss, which appears to be the cause of many endangered plant and animal species. The expansion of human activity in natural environments has destroyed large areas of natural habitats of all kinds, and there is growing awareness that this plant requires conservation efforts if it is to survive in its native tropical region of Asia. Number 2. Bear takes selfies. And now, finally, we've come to the best part of all the things found in the woods today. This is the ridiculously adorable story of a bear in Colorado who posed for a couple of selfies one night. Camera traps set up along trails in Boulder, Colorado, regularly capture images of black bears or much more boring things. But one night in January 2023, a bear found one of the camera traps and spent the night taking selfies, presumably looking for the best one to upload to Instagram. Of the 580 images captured by the camera trap that night, the bear appeared in over 400 of them. That's a Kardashian-level selfie count. Number 1. Angkor, the Lost City. And we end up in this area in Cambodia, which is part of the Angkor Temple complex, which attracts a huge number of visitors every year. This place is a quieter and less impressive experience, but it's still a site worth visiting that seemingly oozes mystery. And who doesn't enjoy a good mystery paired with ancient architecture and ruins? This temple, although clearly there, is not mentioned in any of the texts related to the empire that once existed in the area. This means that no one knows when it was built, by whom, or indeed what it was for. While some of the other nearby structures are still in relatively good condition, this one is basically in ruins. All of its sculptures have disappeared, and there's not much left but a crumbling ruin being reclaimed by the rainforest, and a big question mark hanging over everything associated with it. Anyway, if you enjoy literal piles of bricks with mysterious overtones, then this is your dream destination. If, on the other hand, you require answers and actual structures, then perhaps you're better off visiting the more famous ones nearby. Well, I'm sure you're pretty relieved that we're done with our extremely creepy forest adventure for today. Which of these strange things will be your nightmare fuel tonight? Go ahead and let me know all your thoughts in the comments section below. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe for more intriguing and exciting content. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates. Thanks for watching and see you on the next adventure.